5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ashland Planning Board meeting of Thursday, October 23rd. A reminder that the meeting is being broadcast and recorded. I will call the meeting to order at 7:18, and that is agenda item number 1. Agenda item number 2 is a clerk's report. I do not have a clerk's report this evening, so we're already on item number 3. I'm rocking here. Public comment. Not here for public comment.
I have one person on Zoom, Leah Suarez, that's it, so.
Who I know is also a comp plan member, so I
Okay.
assume she's there for that. But if she would like to make a public comment, she is welcome.
By all means.
But seeing none, I will move on.
Are they aware that we're not starting until 8:15?
I
I said that, right?
think so for everyone who may be watching the comp plan part of the program will begin at 8:15. That's when the consultant is available. Yeah, it's on there. So before that, we will need to look at our public hearings. The first one on there is 240 to 260 Pleasant Street. That's the Mestrowetz soccer fields, and that is already, we previously continued that to November 13th. Is that right? And we don't need to continue it again?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. The next one on the agenda is the YMCA, and Jasmine, you said you received a letter asking for a continuance?
Yes, I received an email, and I can actually share my screen and show it with you. I just want to make sure I keep their email private. This is from Carrie DeLeo. Earlier today, yes, we would like to continue the hearing. Ideally, we would like to be heard once we have all the comments received. Were you able to get any feedback from Vanessa on their turnaround time? Also, for planning purposes, what is the next date the planning board has space on the agenda for us? Can we assume November 13th?
Okay, so,
That
Should
was
we-
received, I'm sorry, that was received yesterday at 5:27 PM.
okay, we're actually going to wait with this item to continue it until later in the meeting. We can do that, right?
You can table it, absolutely.
We're going to table that item for the moment, because what we really need to do is look at our calendar, and this is kind of bringing up, I guess, administrative matters kind of up in the agenda, but before 8:15, we need to look at our schedule for the remainder of the year, and that's what's on this sheet. So, what I've listed here, actually, this is something that Jasmine and I put together. October 23rd is where we are. And our next typical meeting, since we meet the second and fourth Thursday of the month, not every other week, our next meeting would actually be on November 13th. That is the second Thursday. It's deep into the month because the first Thursday is also deep into the month.
Yes,
It's like the 6th.
the 6th.
Right, so the 6th so the 13th would be our first meeting, and our second meeting would be on Thanksgiving, which obviously isn't going to happen. When we look at December, we kind of have the same problem. December 11th would be our typical meeting, and December 25th would be our second meeting. On November 13th, you can see which projects are lined up for the 13th. Does not look like a pleasant meeting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. So what we need to do is to look at our agenda and see how we can respace our meetings so that we can just have a different meeting. These are all Thursdays. Comprehensive plan is no longer meeting, so that used to be a problem with Anna and with me for the very short time I was on comprehensive plan. But it leaves Thursdays open unless someone else has a Thursday obligation on the first and third Thursdays of the month.
I will also be traveling the week of the 13th, so so I'm hoping to take it via Zoom, but I'm on a cruise ship, so there's a chance that it may not be effective for I paid for the wireless or whatever, the Wi-Fi, but it
Yeah,
may not be effective. But I
Okay.
will not have a frosty drink in my hand while I attend the meeting. I'm committed to that part.
yeah, and we can't get rid of the 13th because there's certain things on there, we can go through them one by one. There are things on there that have to go on the 13th, and we can't move them. So that meeting is a meeting we have to have. I'm just hoping it doesn't have 8 items on it. So we can look at meetings before. I'm thinking that either the 30th and maybe particularly the 6th might be good to have 2 shorter meetings. And then again, we wouldn't meet the 20th or the 27th. We're just kind of trading meetings here, given that we have 2 of our meetings are on holidays, and we're kind of stuck.
Can any of these, do we know if any of these groups can move up?
Yes.
So why don't we go through that list, because Jasmine has looked at that pretty thoroughly to see where the flexibility lies. Do you want to just start the beginning of that list on the?
Absolutely. So the things that are on the list that we cannot move right now for the 13th are 55 Tilton Ave, because we had to publish a public hearing notice for that, so we have to at least bare minimum open it and continue it on that day. The in-law bylaw public hearing, we have to hold on that day, but we also have to vote on that day because we have special town meeting coming up a few weeks after this. So we won't have any additional time to hold another meeting prior to special town meeting. So we would have to vote on the in-law bylaw that night. And then we did already continue Metro West to the 13th, so at bare minimum, we would need to open to continue them again if we didn't hear anything from them on that evening. However, 117 Oregon Road is the cell tower. We quite literally just did this for AT&T. This is the one for Verizon. Each one needs their own individual application. The applications are quite literally word for word verbatim, except for the words AT&T and Verizon. So we have that. But since that's a modification to a special permit, we don't have to publish that in a newspaper. We do have to hear it within 65 days of the application, which was submitted October 14th. So we'd have to hear it before December 18th. Typically, even though we can't deny it, typically that application needs 1 review and usually a second meeting. So I think it would be safe to try to give ourselves that second meeting based on our previous experience with that applicant. So they could safely pull forward to either October 30th or November 6th with no consequence. The same exact thing with 501 Pond Street Extension. We can't hear this past November 13th either. So this, I don't know, Deepa, I don't know if you were here, or Scott, if you were, for 501 Pond Street, this is an already approved special permit. They've already come in and asked for a 2-year extension. They're asking for another 2-year extension. They're trying to solidify their funding. They haven't gotten all of their funding set up yet. So they're just asking for another 2-year extension, and they are asking to consider using gas heat instead of electric heat. But if we don't review this by the 13th, their special permit will expire, and they'll have to reapply all over again. That particular application has some affordable units that were negotiated in that isn't a 40B, so there's the risk that if they had to come back for another special permit, they may not be willing to help us in that area. And also that's a lot of expense and time. 240 to 260 Pleasant Street, the Metro West Christian Academy. Even though we've continued them to the 13th, we would like to ask them, Tricia and I thought it was a good idea to ask them for an extension until January, the end of January, because it's taken a very long time for them to get their revised drawings to us.
And I'm sorry, I see on this list, which was my typo, that I have the soccer fields on twice. Metro West Christian Academy and Metro West soccer fields are the same project, so that's my error, sorry.
But if we ask them for an extension until at the end of January, we can just ask them for continuances up until that time. They don't have to request an extension every time, so you could hear it if they're ready at any time between now and then. Their issue is that they just have a lot of they can't make any decisions on their own because of the way everything is run there, so it takes a very long time to make any type of decisions. Everything has to go to an interior meeting, so it's really no fault of theirs, the timeline that this is taken, and we don't want to deny them, but if we could get a further extension, that would help. The YMCA has requested to continue until November 13th. We do not have to continue to November 13th. We could continue it to October 30th if we felt that was enough time. I don't think that would be a particularly productive meeting if you did it that early. You could also schedule it for November 6th, or you could schedule it further out for November 20th or a meeting in December. And then for Caroline Drive, that's a preliminary subdivision. So what happens with that is they have to come back with a definitive subdivision. They're having you, it's literally an idea, a concept of a subdivision. They're bringing it to us. We will still send it to review for other departments, police and fire and DPW. And they'll come to us and say, do you think this will work? We'll review it against the subdivision rules and regs, which I've given to you so that you have them. And then we can say, yes, you can come back for a definitive subdivision. That does not need a public hearing either. But we do have a timeline. We only have 45 days to review and vote on a preliminary subdivision. So it must be approved and voted on by November 23rd. But we could put that on October 30th, November 6th, or November 13th. But I think that wouldn't be ideal. So essentially you can put 117 Oregon Road, the preliminary subdivision Caroline Drive, or the YMCA on either the 30th or the 6th. And the YMCA is the only one of those that you could push further out from November 13th.
Yeah, so first of all, does anyone, in looking at your schedules, so does anyone have meetings that they cannot make, like on these Thursdays? What's that?
I wasn't prepared for this.
I'm sorry, Deepa. We still have half an hour until 8 o'clock, so take your time to digest what I've
Yeah.
said.
Until yesterday, we thought YMCA was going, so.
I'm fine with the 30th or the 6th, or both. We can.
I'm
You two
good as
will?
well.
Okay, and I am as well. I guess I'll just double check that, but. Yeah, I am as well. So that's at least a quorum there. Is it, as we're not going to be seeing, since Anna's coming late, is it possible to, I wonder if she's on the train.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it possible to ask her to what her schedule is? Is that something I can do? Is that
Absolutely.
appropriate?
You can absolutely ask that. You can always, because you're trying to schedule a dinner.
6th is okay for me.
Just the 6th? Thank you, Deepa. Are any of you doing anything for Halloween?
Nope.
No,
No.
well, it's possible.
Possible, but no. Do any of you come here or go downtown? We do like a downtown trick or treat at Town Hall
I
on
come,
Wednesday.
I haven't done that.
You
I'm
should
always going to
come.
other neighborhoods.
We're all dressed up.
Oh, yeah.
The first floor is the town manager's office. Oh, actually, I don't want to give it away because they might. I think they're
yeah,
keeping
don't
that a
give anything
secret.
away.
But we're all dressing up. It's going to be great.
Yeah, they do it every year. It actually is a really nice event for the town kids. So, anyway, so what I'm hoping to do, and I sent a text to Anna, what I think would be the best is to take November 6th, that wouldn't be next week, that would be in 2 weeks, so that we make sure we can get all the preliminary information for these things as well. So you guys can ask any questions that you have about these projects, like what the heck is this that we need to do? But if we could then move, if people can meet November 6th, we can book a meeting with Oregon Road, the Pond Street Extension, and Caroline Drive. Oregon Road, we've done it before, though they should have different drawings, right?
Yes.
Because the antennas are located at different places on the tower.
Right.
But that should be the only thing that's different. And then,
What's up the in-law apartment, whatever you wait, is there something that we could move forward?
okay,
We
so
can't
Anna
move
says
it
6th or the
forward.
13th of November is good. Yeah, we can't move that forward. We can't move the in-law apartment forward because it's needed to be published for a certain date.
How long does that take?
It has to be published 7 and 14 days prior to the public hearing. So you need, that hearing notice was sent out to be published for this Thursday and next Thursday.
So, you're wondering if we could republish it and do it a week early?
Yeah, I mean, today was such a waste of time, right?
I know,
And
I know.
It's not correct for applicants to give us. It's not correct for applicants to give us less than 24-hour notice to cancel out on projects, and we've said this before. And these are big projects. It is time-consuming and takes time on our part. So, if there is a way that we could move things up, I mean, I would not prioritize YMCA for 13th for sure, because you missed today. And again, I don't know if they're gonna be ready again, so.
Yeah, some of that is unknown, and
Yeah.
Jasmine hasn't had time to connect with everybody and
Yeah.
figure out, but I agree.
And I'm
We've
not
done-
sure the 501, since none of us were there except you and me, how does that work? Because the whole team is new. Well, Anna had excused herself.
501? I'm sorry, does somebody
She
have to
did.
recuse themselves?
Anna did recuse herself for
Oh,
501,
I
she's in a
didn't know
butter.
that. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
that.
she's in a
She's a
butter.
butter, so it's only the two of us.
No, they
No.
can, it's an extension. They didn't have to be in, anybody can vote on an extension unless you're recusing yourself, but you don't have to.
But you had a caveat about the gas versus electric. That means somebody has to understand the project, right?
Right.
That's a history of one-year
Yeah.
project.
Do they only need the extension right now versus the gas?
Yes, the
Just-
extension's the main thing.
They need the
They need the
extension.
gas soon because that holds up design, obviously, as you know. It's really the extension that's the true deadline for
Then we're
them.
gonna focus on that.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Because I don't want to just say, let's give that gas versus electric, because there was a whole sustainability component to that project.
There's a sustainability component and deep, deep affordability concept. you know.
Correct. And they
So-
came with the saying that they were not going to change anything of the project, and hence they wanted that extension when they came the last time.
Yeah, so we don't wanna get too deep into it here, but that's a
We
good
can't
point to
talk
make, so
No, that's
let's,
good history to know. Thank you.
so
yeah.
let's focus on the extension,
Okay,
and anything else has to wait.
okay.
Because-
Did they have to go through the sustainability committee for any of that?
No,
Or-
no,
No.
nothing
Okay.
goes through them.
So we can you can vote and say we're voting to extend this, but we're voting to continue the other matter until a date further out or a date to be determined or
do they
something
actually,
like that.
is there an application for that?
It's
That-
just a memo. It's quite, when
It's-
you're asking for an extension, they literally just send a letter saying, can we extend?
But for the
it?"
gas, there's no
It's just
application?
No, it's just a modification, so it's just a memo.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, well
there's
then,
no,
Can we also just look, I know I talked to you about this, can we also look at where we ended that conversation the last time they came in front of us? There was some
Sure.
fencing related thing that they were going to take care of, with the assumption that they were going to start up back in summer. So let's make sure we dig that out and see where we left that project.
absolutely.
so I think, so it sounds like,
Did
It
we have
sounds-
peer review for that? We must have.
in what term?
Did anybody review the sustainability portion? I'm just curious how to, so if
It
you're,
was part of the GCG.
so would I probably have to ask Mike to review this request to see if it's equally as sustainable, do you think?
I don't know about,
I'm just not sure how I wasn't part of the process, so I'm just not, I just want to be
Yeah.
clear on how we're gonna make the determination if I need to pull in anybody else, to your point, Deepa.
I think the sustainability was just about our, like, something they had told us they were going to do.
Yeah.
And it's a condition in there, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
In the, so, but it was a condition between us and them.
Okay,
So I don't think it has anything to do, obviously, with building code. I don't think it has anything to do with town bylaws.
okay.
I think it's between.
But we did come up with what is it that they would do with that project. So I don't know if that electric was even a part, line item. I'm guessing it was.
It
I think it was.
Yeah.
It was, so,
But I think it's great that we can, that we're just, because that could be a discussion, a longer discussion.
yeah.
And
So,
we,
and for the packet, I could get you the decision and maybe the last set of meeting minutes from the last meeting you had
yes,
on
from
that?
when they,
That
from
would
when
be
they
that-
came.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
that would be good. And we will focus then, though, only on the extension and not on any changes to the project. So, on Oregon Road, like I said, it's, because we have found errors in the file before, hopefully we won't this time. Hopefully it'll all be buttoned up, but we can be ready for it to be a one-meeting thing. If we're like, yeah, I didn't find anything, it looks good, we can have the decision prepared.
Yes,
But if there's any questions, it'll have to, go to the 13th as well.
So it's not 6th and the 20th, but we need to do 6th and the 13th?
yes,
The
yes.
13th we can't change because we,
Have those two lined up?
Yes, the public hearings were published for those days,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that'd have to be, because, I need to get them in the paper. I mean, what are we, at the 23rd? I think we said that it would have to be in the paper like today, right?
It would have had to
And-
run today.
And obviously, we can't do that. So we have to keep the 13th. But if we can meet on the 6th, then it sounds like everybody can. We could take care of Oregon Road, cell towers, we know how to do that. The Pond Street extension, that'll be a little bit of a discussion about that project, giving these guys history about what it was. Yeah, and Anna will be recusing herself on that one.
Yeah.
So it'll be the four of us. And then the preliminary subdivision, what's important to know about a preliminary subdivision, we don't do a lot of them. But what's important to know is that a preliminary subdivision approval, it's just that. You can approve it, the preliminary, and when they actually come back for the real thing, which is
Definitive
the
subdivision.
definitive, you can say, no, we're not voting for this, right? So
You have a lot
doesn't-
more leeway with land than
Yes.
you do with other things.
So it doesn't matter if we approve the preliminary. It really is about the, it really is about the definitive.
It really
So-
just guides their drawings to help save
Yeah.
costs, which we're interested in doing. We would like to give them genuine feedback at the time, which is why it's going to fire and police.
Right.
And then they'll return with a definitive subdivision, and in that time, if you approve it, you would then sign that, and that's what would be recorded.
Right.
But the preliminary plan has no legal binding.
So it's really about just understanding that it's a preliminary subdivision isn't a real high-pressure situation. So there's,
But also a great, opportunity to just dip your toes into the water
Yeah.
about it.
so I think, obviously, I think we could easily cover those through 3 on the 6th.
Certainly.
Then what we're left, so is everyone good if we plan to do that, November 6th? Okay. Then what we're left with are Tilton and the in-law bylaw. I don't think,
And Metro West.
so let's start with these two. I don't think the bylaw discussion will take too long. We can get you, I think we did give you the text of that. What's important to know about the text of that is that it's the old bylaw, which has now been removed. In fact, I could send you the old bylaws as they used to exist, so that you can see the text side by side, the new bylaw. But the old you can't look at the bylaws online and see that text because it's gone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so then you could see them side by side and see that it's basically trying to put back something that was there. So I don't think it'll take that long to discuss. And then Tilton Avenue it is a new project. I will be recusing myself from
And
Tilton.
if he's traveling,
You can continue it at minute, you just have to at least
Oh.
open it.
okay.
So
But you could open it and say, no, we're not prepared to hear this evening. I would like to tell them that ahead of time, but just, we're not prepared to hear this evening. We're gonna open it and continue it until whichever date you decide.
Yeah, was Anna there on last time? Anna and,
Camila?
yeah. Anna was
Yeah,
there.
is there, like, is there anything that, if I missed it altogether, like, is there anything that would cause it an issue?
No,
You
as
just-
long as you have to watch it, you either
Yeah,
have to
just
watch it
watch
or
it,
read the
right?
meeting minutes, but you can
Yeah.
only miss one meeting of that particular case throughout the entirety of it, so. That's the only thing.
So,
But you'd have enough voting people anyway, right? Even if, let's say it's
No.
2, we wouldn't, because it needs 4.
It needs 4.
We don't have an alternative person for you to sit in for you.
Correct.
not at the present
So if
time.
anybody's interested,
Wait, so for 501, the whole team hasn't been there,
That-
but they can do the extension.
yes,
But Tilton,
is new. It's a new, brand new beginning
well,
special.
he was
permit.
there, Scott was there for that meeting.
That was just
That was-
informational.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that wasn't,
informational.
yeah.
Okay.
This is
So
the
it
very
doesn't
first
count.
public
Okay.
hearing, yeah.
So that doesn't count.
Right.
Understand.
So those two things, I think, stay on the 13th, right? Even if it's just,
3 things, sorry. The Metro West, the inland,
well,
55
I just
Tilton.
want to start with those two.
Okay, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure we're not
Tilton
forgetting it.
and-
Yeah.
And then we'll continue. So those two things, the bylaw discussion, and which obviously has to happen before town meeting on the 19th.
Right.
So, and then and Tilton Ave, which has been published, so as Jasmine said, at least we need to read it in and continue it. No, or maybe not, maybe if Scott can be on a discussion, maybe he'll listen to the intro from there and won't miss the meeting, otherwise he can, watch
Yeah.
it later. It's just, like I said, the risk of only missing one and missing the first one. And Jasmine can check and see if, with the applicant, and see if they have a different preference.
Right.
If they just want to get it started, or if they want to hold off a little bit. Okay, now we have the 2 remaining things, Metro West and the YMCA. I think the thing with both these projects is that they both have a lot of other factors, and so the fields really has been, we're just waiting, right, to kind of,
Right.
to talk to them. Like, there's nothing on our end, we're just waiting for them to come talk to us again. So, and the YMCA, as we heard last time, I think is more that they want to get going as quickly as they can. But
But like other stuff is holding them up, right? Like they're waiting on,
they're waiting on traffic.
They're waiting on traffic and water and sewer, but none of the items that we had asked for had been provided yet either.
so do you think we can ask them to come back on the 6th and provide that?
Yes, traffic and water sewer reports will be in at that point. I don't know if the YMCA will have had a chance to respond to them yet, and I don't know if that impacts when you, no, the YMCA can't, no, the YMCA could go on the 6th, I'm sorry. So I don't know if that impacts your decision, if you want to wait to continue them until you think they've had a chance to review the comments and then respond, or if you're okay just moving forward the initial opening comments from the
They
peer
also had
review.
GCG comments left.
JCG's actually waiting for them to revise plans. So they received GCG comments and they haven't responded appropriately. They haven't received revised plans yet based on those comments.
So we cannot move the soccer fields to the 6th because they're already on for the 13th.
Right.
And we can't move them back because they're a public hearing.
Okay.
We can tell the YMCA November 6th, because they were just saying the 13th because they thought that was our next meeting,
Right.
right?
Right.
So we can, and that's why I tabled it, we can put them on continue them to the
Yes.
6th. And then we have that meeting kind of filled out. And then that would leave Metro West on the 13th with Tilton and the in-law apartment, unless Metro West and Jasmine will talk to them. If they're just not gonna be ready, we'll move them to December.
Which I haven't heard that they will be ready
Right.
at this point.
So, but we don't need to know that until we can't do anything about them until the 13th anyway, because they're continued to the 13th. We can't change that until the 13th.
Right.
So they'll sit where they are, but we won't know if they're ready or not.
And we also don't know if YMCA will be ready on 6th.
We don't,
Yeah.
so. But they should have something. We should at least be able to talk about traffic. We should be able to get something out of the way.
Have they started on the Concom connection at all?
Yes, YMCA?
Yeah.
Yes, they started with Concom, and that's where the comments, Mike Carter from GCG does comments for both conservation and planning, and those are the comments that we're still waiting on plan revisions from, both us and conservation, so.
So, is everyone following? How does that sound, everybody? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so we'll look for, in November, we'll look to meet November 6th and November 13th. That's 2 weeks in a row. But then we'll be off November 20th and November 27th. And pick it up again in December. So December, and we can talk about this later. Let me see what Anna had said about her December. She's away 21 through 28, which is okay. And we can wait till she gets here to think about November, but we could do November 4th and December 4th and December 18th. Just shift our schedule back a week.
Yep.
We'll still have a 3-week break between the 13th and December 4th, but then get 2 meetings in December to pick up whatever else we need to pick up. And it shouldn't be in too rushed of a way.
Or if you feel that's too tight, the only things that you would potentially be continuing past the 13th, and the only things you can continue past then, are 55 Tilton Avenue and the Metro West soccer fields. Meet potentially the 501 Pond Street modification. Those are the only 3 things that could possibly go past a November date. So right now, those are the only 3 things you'd have in December, unless we get a new application.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Tilton, the Y, and
Yeah.
the soccer fields.
Yeah.
So, so there's likely still plenty to do in December as long as they are ready for us.
Right.
But at least we'll start clearing out these smaller things that have popped up. So, okay, so we will have a meeting on November 6th. Jasmine, just to summarize, we'll meet on November 6th. November 6th, we will meet. It's not a typical meeting date for us, but we will meet November 6th. I assume the room is available. If
I
not,
will
we'll go.
double check.
If not, we'll go online. If we've done it, we did it all during COVID, we'll just.
And all of these can go online technically.
Yeah, so if we can't be here, we'll do it via Zoom. And we will move to that date, 117 Oregon Road, that's the cell tower.
Okay.
We will move 501 Pond Street Extension, just the extension. The other issue will have to come later, be a different application, a different
Right.
memo. And the preliminary subdivision.
Perfect.
We will also, at this time now, if I can, do I just bring it off the table? Do I have to have a motion to bring YMCA off the table?
You have to have a motion to
Okay,
continue on with the YMCA, sorry.
all right, I'm gonna make my own motion to bring, to
Retable the YMCA,
retable, to put it, no, to untable?
to untable?
To discuss the YMCA public hearing, or sorry, to continue it. Can I have a second?
Second that.
And a roll call vote,
Deepa Venkatai.
Skip Pelletier, aye.
Paul Montesino, aye.
and Tricia Kendall, aye. So, now I am going to make a motion to continue 30 Memorial Drive YMCA to November 6th.
Okay, YMCA November 6th.
That was the plan, right? Yeah. Okay, so November 6th. Is there a second?
Second that,
And a roll call vote.
Deepa Venkatai.
Skip Altieri.
Paul Montesino, aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye. Okay, so YMCA is now on for November 6th. And we can let them know that. We should have at least some things to discuss and keep it reasonable length. At least we'll get some things off, off the table. And then we will also meet on November 13th. At that meeting, we will we'll at least open 55 Tilton Avenue. I will be recusing myself for that. We will have the in-law apartment bylaw public hearing, which needs to be done prior to town meeting on November 19th. And we also have the Metro West Christian Academy, the soccer fields, that has already been continued to that date. So hopefully that'll be it. Phew. All right, thank you. All right, we still have, Anna says she'll be here about 10 after 8, which would be great. So this other pile of stuff here, like I said, the folders are there, or the binders are there, but we didn't really need them today. So some of this is information on subdivisions. The first part of it, different information that Jasmine found about subdivision, just to introduce us to that. Like I said, we don't do a lot of them. So I usually have to refresh my memory as well, as like to what we're doing and on those. But she also found in a totally, the back of the packet here, Town of Ashland Development Guide, January 2011. And she was looking for something else and found this document that I've never seen. I mean, I came on the board, Peter and I came on the board, I think in 2018, 2019, I can't remember which. And so I don't think he's ever seen this. It was just buried somewhere. So it may be something that, I think it was more intended for residents and developers wanting to do a property. But it also has some really great information about just different processes. There's a few things that might need updating, given that it's, 14 years old or whatever. But it also seems like a great resource that, have you ever seen this before, Deepa?
I want to say, when we started on the comprehensive plan, when I was searching through,
Oh.
I somehow remember going through this document, but it was a random find, and I don't know if I read every line of it, but I did see that this existed, and I saw the date, and I was like, okay, this is really outdated.
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if, in the start of the comprehensive plan, if they pulled all these kind of guides as a starting point for that. But as,
Because I was like, when I was trying to understand where we left off the last time, I have a feeling I came across this document.
but anyway, wanted to, Jasmine, and I agreed that it was a good idea to distribute as
Yep.
as kind of educational material as we go through. And if you do see something that seems out of date, just mark it, because this seems like a document maybe that we would like to update and have it more readily available. So. All right, and do we have meeting minutes? Are we gonna,
Yes, you do. They should be everybody should have a printed copy. Once
Oh,
you
is
get
this-
there. Yeah, October 9th.
is that mine?
That's-
Okay.
Yes.
So we might as well, since we have a couple minutes, we have a couple minutes left. These are meeting minutes from October 9th, so the last time we met. If people want to look at those, we can get those out of the way.
Is this Paul's first meeting? Because he,
First after the sworn in.
so was there a reason why you did not vote for the T-Mobile one?
I think he hadn't heard, it had started before
Oh,
that.
he just joined, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you were there, but you weren't sworn in yet, so officially you weren't.
No, but the next one he has.
He was
so
sworn in,
probably-
but he hadn't sat in on that
He'd
hearing.
not
Right,
sat
on
on
the
it.
first hearing, so it didn't count.
Right, right.
Right.
Got it. Jasmine, thank you. The fact that you have the documents reference listed,
That's actually Laura, but
which is, should be typical, but thank you for doing that. I'm good.
Yeah, and it's nice just to see on the top of page 5 is kind of that summary of what we were looking for the YMCA.
Yep.
So when we get there at the next meeting, that'd be good to refer to or to have. Okay, I think I'm good. Did anyone note any changes?
No changes.
Okay. Deepa?
Okay.
Right. Anyone want to handle this motion to approve?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from October
9.
9th. Thank you.
All right, is there a second?
Second that.
And a roll call vote?
Deepa Venkatai.
Scott Pelletier, aye.
Alma Tessino, aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye. So those meeting minutes are approved. Got that out of the way. We took care of the YMCA. All right, so now we're just, I guess we still have 15 minutes.
You can recess if you'd like. And he'll shut off this recording. If you recess for 15 minutes, he'll stop the WACA.
Well, I was just wondering, actually, if, I mean, it might be a time, sometimes board members have questions. Are there any?
Are we allowed to talk about non-agenda items?
Well, anything, I think, at the next, what I'll do is bring up the agenda item, number 6, planning board task list. This is in the binders if anyone wants it, but it's basically all the things that we want to work on and discuss. It's an opportunity on the agenda to bring things up. So are there particular questions that you have? They can't be project related, obviously, but if there's general questions, we can certainly talk about those.
But they have to fall into one of those discussion topics that are on that sheet.
Is it a process question? Like, how does this happen?
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, we use this as a place to discuss goals
You can
in
at least
general.
ask the question, and
Yeah.
we can tell you if we can answer it.
No, I mean, I don't have anything that's,
Yeah, but if you had any, like, process questions, like, general, like, you could come up with, you know, scenarios that you're curious about, like, if this happens and somebody did this, what could you do? As long as they're not based on actual. I did send everybody, a training through Citizens Planner Training Collaborative. It is a webinar. We do highly encourage that everybody hop on to take a peek. This subject is roles and responsibilities, ZBA and Planning Board. I'll be sending you more webinars as they come up throughout the year because they do tend to do a lot of webinars throughout the winter. Typically, they start them a little earlier than they did this year, but as they become available, we'll be sending those out. But we do have the budget for that, so if you'd like to attend, please tell me because we'll sign you up and we'll cover the fee and we'll just send you the link to your emails.
yeah, I would have done that one, but that's happening the
On
same week I'm
vacation
on
as well?
vacation.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Are you going anywhere good? Warm?
Cruise, yeah, it's out of Miami, down to
Cruises.
Mexico.
You're going to Mexico?
Yeah, 5 days.
Love Mexico.
All right, well, why don't we take what will be a 10-minute recess until 8:15? Yeah,
Is
no,
there
we can
anything
take,
else on the agenda that we can do
I-
before?
I think that's it. That's for, I mean, I don't think we need to go through any of the reports, unless, I don't think any meetings have happened, have they? Was there a CPC meeting?
We had a CPC meeting
Oh.
on Tuesday.
Well, we can
Because we're
do,
trying to get stuff in before the warrant articles are due for, well, I mean, the warrant articles are on there, but just discussing some things that'll be coming up at town meeting, but there's nothing new that we haven't already discussed in the
Okay.
past, so.
all right. Yeah, I didn't realize you had another meeting. Was there anything with Metro West Regional?
There was a call this morning.
Oh,
That was
My-
actually a
There's
really
lots of
good one,
stuff
I
happening,
thought.
okay.
Yeah, it was my first one.
Oh, was it? Oh, they're
Yeah,
not usually
I had
that
to jump out the last
rushed.
10 minutes, but
You didn't miss anything.
when they're talking about going around to talk about what's going on in every community, I missed. But it was an interesting one, just something that I don't think I walked in with expectations, so it was a good one.
Is there anything in particular that they talked about that would have been,
A lot of transportation talk,
okay,
A lot of grant funding available right now.
for transportation?
yeah.
Wonder how-
Transportation, some infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yeah.
Yeah, they're looking at regional projects more. But when they say transportation, it really sounds like they're focused on more on MBTA than anything.
Yeah.
There's the only transportation projects they really mentioned. They said like it excluded like timing of the lights and updated intersections and things like that. So it sounds like it's only for like regional work, I guess.
Okay.
But it was funny, I've never seen one quite like that. Usually they're a little more paced. Usually, I'm sorry, it was your first one. They were rushing, and even one woman was
4
like, this
people
felt like speed
presented.
dating.
Okay.
One man sounded like an auctioneer. He was just like, he just started and just went.
And it didn't sound like he was reading out of a paper. It was like, okay, yeah.
Wow.
He felt very rushed. But it was a lot of good information, I thought. Although I'm surprised no more talk about the electric buses. I hopped on a meeting probably 3 months ago and they heard that, and I haven't heard a peep since. So,
Right, and the only other update is comprehensive plan, which obviously we're going to talk about now. We met last week, and which was the final draft of this presentation, and then the team disbanded, basically, because the mission has been accomplished, and it goes here and then to town meeting, but we'll be talking more about that in a few minutes. Planning office updates. I think we already went through every potential
so.
project that's coming our way, at least known.
at least that I'm aware of,
At least that we're-
in my defense. There might be more.
And update on the 40Bs,
They're coming to an end.
the two,
61 Waverly and 10 to 60 Main will be closed probably by November, December, late November, early December.
and 55 Tilton is just
It's
starting.
just starting. We'll only be having our second hearing on that on Tuesday, so it's pretty,
So they just
pretty
had the
early on.
introduction and that's all?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right.
and no updates on Mirabella still.
Okay. Yeah, it's been going on forever.
Supposedly the decision was issued, the judge made a decision in February, and we're just
Oh.
waiting for it.
Last February?
This past
This-
February in 2025, yeah. It's been almost a year.
Well,
I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't.
We can't hear you. Are you in,
We're in recess.
okay, that's what I just asked.
We're waiting for that decision.
Yeah. Do you want to reorganize the table for them?
Yeah, are you guys going to want to come up here, or
Whatever you want to do,
we?
Madam Chair.
They're right here. This should be plenty. I'm moving, and if they all
Okay.
come up, well, the way I set it up
Just-
earlier, there's enough chairs. I'll just sit out there. I don't need to sit up here. for
Sorry, we
the
can't have a
presentation.
kids' table. I don't know.
I know.
We had one last night too.
You had a kids' table. It's a good fit. She is. She should be here shortly.
That's right. You can
Where's she
laugh.
sitting?
So I assume she's sitting here, but
So this is available, kind of?
yes, it's available. All right, great. Can we,
Yeah, we shared it last night.
are we able to move this one down and you and I can share?
Thank you.
So I was talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I guess so.
No, that's not a problem. It makes sense, though.
Unless you're me.
Really no brainer, so.
Oh, you did?
And she's 19. Okay. So we're doing some things. I found her, and she was, why don't you put it up here? My whole life just shifted.
Oh, my God.
It's kind of rough, though. I mean, like,
The comprehensive plan consultant, who's going to be joining us at 8:15. Oh, Austin's already online. Okay. But we will start that then at 8:15.
The meeting of the Select Board for October 23rd, 2025, joint meeting with the Planning Board to order at 8:15. So we are on board.
All right, so this is the joint meeting of the Planning Board and Select Board in regard to the comprehensive plan. I'm not sure really what the protocol is tonight. Yolanda, can I hand that over to you? I think you know more about it than I do.
Sure. We're going to be getting a presentation from the consultant, and I see Austin online now, and I know Jen, the lead, will be joining us at some point. She was in another meeting. They will present the comprehensive plan. It will be available for questions, and then we need to take a joint vote to support or not support. And then once that happens, we will then move it forward to town meeting. We've already put it on the town meeting warrant, and we've posted and closed that with the expectation that it will be passed tonight.
All right, thank you. So I guess we are turning it over to Austin.
Great, thank you so much. And do I have permission to share my screen? I will send a request. All right.
You should be all set now, Austin.
And just to clarify too, Austin and Jen Goldson are from our consultant JM Goldson, we've been working with them for the last 2 years. So just to.
Yes, that's right. Thanks so much. So my name is Austin. I'm a community planner here at JM Goldson. I've been the project manager internally on our side.
The sound is a little quiet. Can we get that sound up for in the room?
Can you hear me all right now?
No, it's still quiet. Do you need to maybe talk louder into your mic? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can talk louder and I'll see if I can open my settings and boost my microphone.
Well,
There you go.
that was
That's
good.
much better.
Okay, great. Luckily, I'm the only person in the house tonight, so I can project. So as I was saying, my name's Austin Smith. I'm a community planner here at JM Goldson. I've been the project manager internally on our end for the last several months, for most of this year under Jen's leadership. But I've been working on this project basically since the beginning, working on way back at the beginning during the existing conditions phase. So I've been here throughout the entire process, and it's been a real professional, personal pleasure of mine to be able to help work with the committee and guide it to a successful completion. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight and for welcoming us in to chat a little bit about the plan. And I see Jen has joined us as well. She was able to make it from her previous meeting, so I'll let her introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. Jen Goldson. Is my mic coming through okay?
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, perfect. Good. Yeah, as Austin said, I'll just echo, it's been a real pleasure to work on this plan with the town and with the committee, and we're excited to unveil it tonight and to show you the good work that the committee has done. All right, Austin, why don't you take it away?
Absolutely. So I would be remiss if I didn't give a huge shout out to the committee. They've been working so hard on this for the last 2 years, and I know you've been hearing probably some updates from the members that are present with you tonight. But I really want to give a shout out to everybody in the committee that was working so hard on all of it. There were some late night discussions. We went over more than once. So there were some late nights, some heated discussions, and it was a really valuable opportunity to kind of dive into all of that work with them. The town department heads also provided tons of fairly valuable feedback. I met with them and they provided lots of detailed insights on how the strategy implementation could work. So I really value their feedback as well. And Michael Herbert, of course, town manager, was there throughout the process, giving his kind of insights and leadership throughout the process, which was really, really valuable. And of course, we got huge engagement and participation from the whole Ashland community, which was really, really amazing to see throughout the process. And so I feel really confident, and I hope the committee does too. I know that I heard a lot of positive feedback at our last meeting that we are stepping forward together, that the Ashland community can take this document and really feel like there were no deal breakers in it. The committee worked really, really hard to make sure that even though maybe not everybody got every single thing on their list, but it was a place to come together and make sure that there were no deal breakers in that final document itself. So we want to thank everybody on the committee for having those hard discussions and for talking with their neighbors, hosting meetings in a box, and doing outreach on social media about the surveys, and throughout the process, the dedication that they put in for their contributions, their collaborative ideas, the late nights, of course. And so we're really confident that Ashland is stepping forward with that, the care and the intention to put your best feet forward. So to go back to the beginning, the purpose of a comprehensive plan is really about guiding shared actions. It's not about trying to hide from change. It's not about trying to avoid it. It's not about trying to prevent things from happening, but it's about seeing the change in the world, things that are happening outside of Ashland, inside of Ashland, everything that's impacting the community, and coming up with the best ideas to meet that change in a way that works for everybody. So as the town naturally evolves, the comprehensive plan is intended to serve as a flexible roadmap. It's not a line item list of everything that you must do, but it's a very strong vetted set of ideas that the town can use throughout the next 10 years, throughout the life of the plan, to guide decision-making, to kick off more detailed projects that the committee knew were important, and basically to remain adaptable as conditions change. Some strategies that were vetted now and seem like a good idea to bite off, if the grant funding isn't there in 10 years, maybe it won't be a good idea to bite off, and you can pivot to another tack. So it's intended to remain flexible in that way. And so to create the plan, we had a 4-stage process. The first phase was looking at existing conditions for the most part. The second phase was all about getting that visioning engagement with the public. That's where we hosted the meeting in a box, crowd map, visioning survey, and other engagement platform. Phase 3 is where we developed all the strategies. That was basically from October of this past year through June of this year. And then the final phase is where we put all of the pieces together into the final plan document and worked detailed meetings with the committee to basically make sure all of the pieces fit together, that the wording was right, that the intention was there, and that it all looked appealing and that the community could really see themselves in it. So in phase 1, as I mentioned, that was the baseline of existing conditions study that we produced, a summary profile of trends and issues based on census data, population projections, economic data, transportation data. We worked with our subconsultants at Niche Engineering, RKG Associates, and Kittleson and Associates to really produce a very detailed document that really highlights all of those kind of issues and trends that we saw in Ashland, and gave us a really good idea of what kind of things we could see from the outside were happening in Ashland. But also we did a bunch of interviews as well, and coordinated with town staff to make sure that we were verifying the data with what people knew on the ground. In phase 2, that was where we talked about community visioning. That was all about writing the vision, the core themes, and the goals. So we held a public forum. We held a big community survey. We got tons of responses on. We did online crowd mapping, which was actually a huge boon. We got tons of points on the map there. People were super interested in placing points on the map where they had ideas or where they had like places that they wanted to see conservation activity, places they thought could work for housing. So it was a really interactive and engaging activity, I thought, for the public. And meetings in a box also did super, super well. That was the small kind of host your own mini meeting toolkit that people could do on their own. So we really tried to make sure that there were multiple opportunities to engage for an extended period of time, that people could tune into the process and participate in how they want. If they wanted to fill out the survey, they could do that from the comfort of their home. If they wanted to participate in person and join folks at a public forum and meet people, talk face to face, they could do that. If they wanted to host their own meeting without kind of the presence of any town officials or consultants, they could host their own meeting in a box. And a lot of committee members did a lot of groundwork in helping to facilitate those meetings. So we really, really appreciate all of the outreach and facilitation that they did on those. And so we were able to take all of that input through an aggregated community engagement summary where we pulled out the key themes that we were hearing in each of them, and worked with the committee through a set of working sessions to develop the vision statement, the core themes, and the goals for the plan. In phase 3, it was all about the strategies. So now that we've got the vision statement and the goals, what do we do to get there, basically? What are some ideas that could work? So we developed an internal strategy list. We came up with the big long list, and then we worked internally as a consultant team and also through a set of technical working sessions to kind of take that long list and narrow it down to the ideas that really felt like they would work best for Ashland. So through both members of the public attending, local leaders, business owners, members of other boards and committees could all come in and talk through like a 2-hour working session with detailed conversations about what could work, what kind of things need to happen, or if something just doesn't feel right at all. It helped really narrow down the list and make sure that those strategies felt really good. And then we took all of that back to the committee and held several meetings where we went through all of the strategies and revised them piece by piece to make sure that all of the strategies felt like there was nothing missing, but there was also nothing that was extra. So it really was a thorough revision process with the committee and with the departments and through the technical working sessions. And then in phase 4, which is where we've been for the past few months, is taking all those pieces and putting them together. And then once they're together, you get to see it in a whole new way. The strategies where they were in an Excel document, now they're on the page and they come with images and they come with proposed metrics. How are you going to measure the success of that strategy? So we developed and revised that final plan document to identify the implementation approach. We hosted a public comment period as well, and the steering committee members hosted some additional public forums around the core themes in person and available online as well. And those got some great turnout. The feedback there really felt focused around implementation, which was, I feel, good for the committee to hear that folks were kind of seeing the strength of the ideas in the plan and wanting to focus on what's next. How are we going to see this happen? What are the things that we need to make sure are in order and in place to see that happen? And throughout the entire process, we had a really, really strong community engagement response. The committee had set a really strong goal at the beginning of this process. We asked them, we wanted to check in when we were developing the public engagement plan, what target you want to set. And it's kind of up, it's up for them, up for decision, but they set a really strong goal, we thought, one that was kind of comparably high in the work that we do in comprehensive planning and what we've seen from other consultant facilitated processes. They set a high goal and then blew past it, which we were really, really proud to see. So they went basically 23% past the high goal that they had set with 3,487 total points of participation. And because we held the kind of events and community engagement activities slightly differently, the point means an individual point of engagement. It doesn't mean an individual person, because we didn't want to track email addresses or names or phone numbers. Those kind of things can be real disincentives to engagement. So to make sure that we were able to welcome people into the process and make sure that they felt welcomed and free to express their ideas, we counted it that way. But even by that metric, the committee far surpassed the goal. And so we really feel that based on all of that public input that came into the plan, it feels really grounded in what makes Ashland special, what we're proud of, the issues that people know of that exist, and really aiming to meet the future head on. All of that public feedback was really brought in throughout the entire process. The committee made sure consistently throughout the process that is the community engagement that we're having reflective? Is it sufficient? Do we need to go out again to ask about any certain thing? Have we made sure that we have heard from as many people as we can about this? And what actually are people saying? Are they saying that we need to revise some certain section, or that some piece of it feels right or some piece is missing? So they really went back to the community again and again and made sure that the public had so many opportunities to participate in a way that felt right for them at a stage in the plan that felt right for them. And that's reflected in the vision statement, in the future land use vision, in the core themes, the metrics proposed for each of the core themes, and the detailed strategy list with priority strategies and priority locations for specific strategy ideas that were based on the public input that the committee got through the crowd map and through other tools, and through committee discussions to help prioritize those things in the plan. So overall, the structure is a single vision statement. That's the shared aspirational long-term piece that's illustrated by the future land use plan. Under that vision are 5 core themes. And so it's laid out differently than a conventional comprehensive plan. It obviously touches on all of the statutory elements, so it's a fully compliant plan, but it's organized under core themes. So it reflects back the things that are important about Ashland in the way that we heard people talk about them. And those core themes were directly written through workshops with the steering committee, taken directly from pieces of the community engagement themes. The core themes are really what matters most. Those each have metrics that you can use to measure success. There are 23 goals under each of the, well, under the core themes, there are 23 goals. Some have more, some have less. But those are a little bit more detailed about what we aim to achieve. There's clearer direction for public policy in the goals. And then each goal has a set of strategies under it. Those are ideas for where you can start. They're not necessarily like a bullet list, like you must do all of these things in order for this goal to be achieved, but they're arrows in your quiver or they're tools in your toolbox. They're a flexible set of vetted ideas to guide action that come with a bunch of things attached to them. Proposed timelines, different kind of funding mechanisms that we know of that exist, suggested board and committee responsibilities. So all of that is kind of detailed along with each strategy. And in terms of implementation, the committee thought really hard about how the town should move forward, really. What would make the most sense in terms of effectiveness, in terms of public transparency, in terms of viability and functionality. So the plan sets the stage, but somebody needs to be the champion of it moving forward. And that's why the plan document and the steering committee really focus on an implementation coordination committee. So it's the committee that proposed membership includes planning board, select board, and some at-large members as well to incorporate new perspectives, new ideas, and new ways of seeing that vision and goals. Participation by the steering committee will be super helpful early on to make sure that there's continuity and institutional knowledge really on how this document was created, what the conversations were along the way. So we really recommend that in the first few months as the committee's starting to form up, that the steering committee members, they even proposed having a kind of joint meeting, a transition meeting, where even some of the members, even if it's not a formal steering committee meeting, if some of the members can be present to kind of give some introduction and guide the implementation coordination committee into like having their own kind of approach to overseeing or coordinating the implementation of the plan itself. And it comes with an implementation matrix as well. And what we mean by matrix is really a spreadsheet. And that's to kind of jumpstart the implementation process. The spreadsheet includes all of the strategies, responsible parties for each of the strategies, funding sources, case studies, and proposed timing in terms of short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And this we've been working on with the town department leaders. We worked with them to collaboratively get feedback on these strategies and on who would be best responsible for all of them. So all of that has been collaboratively revised, and we really appreciate all of that feedback to make sure that this is kind of an accurate document that the committee and staff can use moving forward. But the technical piece is only one piece of the implementation matrix. The other piece, and this will be really helpful for both the staff and the implementation coordination committee, is the public transparency piece. So at this, we really intend to be posted on the town website and kept regularly updated. So in a separate tab on the spreadsheet, there's a public phase, which really you can use to show the status of each of the strategies. So on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis, or on a cadence that feels right for you, you can mark each of the strategies as completed, in progress, not yet started, or decided not to pursue. And then there's a legend, so they're color-coded, each one of them highlights, and so you can get get an idea from a scan, or even from another table just on the side that says you have X number of strategies that are already completed, X number that are in progress, or some that are not yet started. So that's a huge public transparency piece that we feel like will be really valuable for the Ashland community to get a feel for the status just by checking online kind of easily. So to a great extent, that is the presentation that I've got for you tonight. I wanted to give you an update of how the process went and of the document in general. I really feel like on a personal and professional level, it's been a real joy to work with this committee. I know there's been challenging moments and disagreements, but I feel like that's exactly what the process is all about, is having the hard discussions and kind of putting everything out there and wearing your heart on your sleeve. So I really feel like all of that went into the plan itself. And the plan is kind of grounded in what makes Ashland a special place and comes with a strong implementation approach that has been really bounced back and forth and strongly vetted by the committee and the staff. We know that the Ashland community is ready, basically, to continue the work. We heard that in the public forums that were hosted just in the past few months. They're ready to continue that work of stewarding the community. And we really are proud of this planning process of the committee, all the work that was put into it. And we feel like they're ready to move forward with it.
Austin, I wonder if it might be helpful to the planning board if you pull up the actual document and just at least share what the nature of the core themes are and how they support the vision, just a little bit more about the content. I know the process was super important and we really wanted to emphasize the thoroughness of the process and the community engagement, but it actually might be helpful for them to also just see where what are the big ideas, and the big ideas are really those core themes and how it fits with the vision.
Yeah, absolutely. So the vision statement, as I said kind of earlier, is meant to be the big overarching theme of the plan itself. And so it includes kind of the first sentence is Ashland is a diverse, inclusive community that honors and preserves its small town charm, its rich history, and open space. The core themes of that vision statement are building and enhancing community, promoting long-term sustainability, guiding development that honors open space and conservation, enhancing town services and economic development, and creating a connected and accessible community. And I'm happy to go through each of those. Each one comes with its own kind of core theme vision, which is a brief statement here that kind of guides that core theme. So for core theme 1, building and enhancing community, the vision statement for that is Ashland will foster and support cultural vibrancy and historic preservation, maintain a small town community feel, and create a supportive, inclusive community where people can learn, work, age, shop, and play. So basically on this first page, we've got a few metrics that are proposed ideas for something that the Implementation Coordination Committee and the staff could use as a starting place for ideas for how to measure success for those. So there are things like the number of community events or programs each year at the library, corner spot, or other kind of cultural events, the attendance levels or participant counts for community events and programs, the number of historic resources on the state register, and other metrics as well. And we also, in many of the core themes, highlighted a high priority strategy or two that came directly out of the committee working sessions. So a high priority for core theme 1 is strategy 1B3, continue to develop a community supported vision for the Valentine property, considering potential uses for recreation, meeting spaces, social functions, and other publicly accessible uses. Assess the financial viability, needed improvements, and funding sources for implementation. So there's a lot that goes into each of the core themes, and each of them is really built to sit under that vision statement. And each one is also illustrated by its own kind of version of the future land use map, which highlights those specific categories on the future land use map that align most with that core theme. So for core theme 1, building and enhancing community, the categories on the future land use map are downtown vibrancy, cultural and community assets, neighborhood nodes, and managed neighborhood evolution. Those are the things that felt most connected with the vision of that core theme, highlighting how the neighborhood nodes, cultural and community assets, and downtown vibrancy support a connected and inclusive community. And then under that further are the goals and the strategies. Goal 1A is strengthen social ties and civic engagement through community events, programs, and intergenerational activities. So that's again a further like narrowing and more specific public policy direction that the town can take with a set of ideas in the strategies beneath it. And so I hope that that goal clearly sits under that vision statement of being a diverse, inclusive community that honors and preserves its small town charm. Um, and all of the core themes kind of are designed to do that and to be key aspects and ideas that were really important for the community engagement that are designed to guide the town over the next 10 years and throughout the life of the plan.
Yeah, and I hope that's enough level of detail. If you want us to go into more, we're happy to do that, but I wanted to also make sure you had enough time for questions, comments, things like that. So I think we can pause here if that's okay with the planning board.
Yeah, I think we're understanding that it's a much larger document to the planning board. You know, we sent it to the planning board in advance so that they could look at it and hopefully spend some time with it, reading it. So I guess we'll just open it up for general questions and discussion about the document, about the process, about what happens at town meeting even. It's the first time through one of these for me that I recall anyway.
I mean, one thought I had that might be helpful, I don't know, as somebody who was on the committee, I feel very aware of all the details, but there are people in this room who were involved in the committee, and I wonder if there might be some use to allow them to introduce themselves and maybe share something about the comprehensive plan, one particular strategy or idea that they're specifically excited about for the community. And I thought that would be a good way to engage with those of you here who are not at this table but were part of the committee, that could share something that we could all benefit from hearing, that you are particularly excited about, that the public would be excited about. Just a thought as to how we might go about it.
Yeah, I think that'd be really great because it, for me personally, and yes, I joined the committee for 2 meetings. I don't consider myself actually, you know, a big part of that. But I think it would be very difficult for me to say, no, I don't like this document after 29 people of very disparate beliefs and backgrounds and interests worked on it for 2 years. So yes, there's going to be stuff in there that all of us, oh, I really like this part. I'm not so sure about this part, but that's just being a community. And so I think it'd be really interesting if people are willing, that have spent this 2 years on the committee, some on this at this table, can share some of those specific thoughts out of this big document. I think that would be useful for those of us who weren't in the weeds those 2 years.
Yolanda, do you want to start?
Sure.
You were on the committee?
Yeah, so I guess for me, what I like about the document is that it does hit a lot of different aspects for the community. And yes, there were 29 of us around the table, but we all came representing various organizations and various committees in town. So it's, we had people from Open Space, we had people from the Senior Center, we had people, I mean, every committee basically in town was represented. So when they sat there at the table, yes, some of it was just them, but it was also the committees in back of them that they were bringing ideas back to and having a conversation with. And when we did the public forum, similar, people came to it. Some of them supported or felt more strongly about certain core themes and certain strategies. But I think overall, the document really does represent the community of Ashland, and a lot of voices were heard to put that together. We also have some people online, so if someone online wants to step up and say something, or we have a number of members here who, if they want to step up to give any feedback. Or Brandy?
So Yolanda alluded to the 29 people and the representation. And we were led by two co-chairs that were amazing. So Rajashree Ghosh, who's here with us tonight, and Stacy Grant Lewis, who, I don't know, no, Stacy's not on. But I just wanted to give a public thank you to Rajashree and Stacy for all the work that went into to basically herding the cats of 29 people. You guys did a great job, and we're very grateful for the work that you guys put into this. And also as a thank you to all the town staff that spent a lot of their time. Everyone from Michael and Beth Reynolds, who's online tonight, Peter Matchek, our former town planner, who's no longer here, Sam Riley, who has been coming to our meetings as well. And I feel like this is it's been a very big town project and a big focus for us for over 2.5 years. We had, not only did we have representation from the boards and committees, but we also had precinct members who were representing portions of town to make sure that we had all of Ashland represented. And so I too feel like we had really great representation, and just also just a shout out to all 29 members of the committee who did a lot of work, especially around the community engagement. So we all really, it was really important to all of us that that we talk to as many people in the community as possible and make sure that we were not trying to create the Ashland that we wanted. We wanted it to be a community document. So just thank you to everyone who's put in a lot of time and effort over the last 2+ years.
And just as part of the thanks, I will put out there both Anna and Kate, who's until recently was on the planning board, for being probably the initial spark at this point that started this whole fire. I know when it originally started and was looking for volunteers, I took one big step back, you know, and while they were stepping forward. So that started things, and here we are. So thank you for that. Are there any other, Chuck?
To have that on, huh? Chuck Lids, 150 Oregon Road. I would like to repeat that how wonderful the two co-chairs were. They really did a spectacular job of keeping us focused. But you asked for something particular. What I particularly loved was the idea of expanding the Upper Charles Trail to give sort of tributaries to it from across from major sections of the town, so that, you know, I'm a sustainability person. This allows the idea of using bikes and using walking to get around town, to get from one part of town to the other without risking your life like I would if I tried to get to the center of town now. From where I live, I would probably die in the process because there's just a road. So anyway, I do repeat that I think this was a really good process.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comprehensive plan people? You're all talked out maybe after all this time. Kate?
Kate Jerzyk. I joined the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee as Planning Board rep, and I'm really excited that we got to this point. I had no doubts. I think when we started, there were people who had doubts, particularly the large committee that was developed. And to me, that was a great starting point to get the public. I know we exceeded our goal. I remember that I wanted to get the goal up. I think Goldson was a little, when we had the goal of public participation points, even exceeded what they normally do, and we exceeded that, which is great. So I'm super excited about the plan. I think there are lots of great things. The particular thing that I think was really telling was at the end when Yolanda stepped forward to make sure we had one last exposure to the public when it's in draft form. And we saw people attending that hadn't participation points on other things, and they left seeming pretty satisfied. The one voice I heard that Austin had already said was, that sounds great, how are we going to make this happen? So I do want to comment, the implementation I think is super important. I will honestly say I do not believe we hit every demographic in town, and that's probably for lots of reasons, right? We all have to do better on rallying community engagement, but I do want to put out a challenge to the 29 people, the boards here, that on the implementation, that if we didn't hear from those demographics, we get them on implementation, and we take that same look, that the implementation is now super important. So I was a committee, I ended up rejoining the committee as precinct 4 rep. I was super happy to vote for it. I hope that will be voted tonight. Town meeting, I hope it will get supported, and it's a great roadmap for the implementation.
Great, thanks, Kate.
We've got,
I don't know
I was
who
going to
was
say,
first.
there's folks in here too. I don't know how you want to do it, but I don't know if. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I don't see the name. This, Tony Lewis, you can, I don't know if they need to unmute, or is everyone unmuted?
I just want to say it was quite an experience these last few years, you know, been volunteering in the town, and I had a setback with the cancer, but that's in remission now, so that's why I lost my hair. But I just want to say, we were very lucky getting these consultants, Austin and Jen and her staff, and did a really great job, and all the committee members did a super job. And I think the money we spent on the consultants, well worth it. If anybody questions why we did it, how much money we spent, it's well worth it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, and hope you're well.
Yeah, I am. Thanks.
Rob?
Great, thanks, Tricia. As someone who was somewhat involved in the beginning of all this, but has been largely just a participant, the first thing I want to say is thank you all to the many people and the consultants for all the work you did. I was involved enough to understand the kind of effort that took place over the last few years. And, you know, just thinking about how this all started, you know, going back, Yolanda was leading, I think, what was it called, the strategic planning effort that we weren't able to finish, but then the ball got picked up by the planning board, specifically Anna Tesmaniski, who really made this a priority and actually got it going. So I want to give a nod to her for all that. And then all the other people that got involved, from the select board to the planning board, and all the wonderful volunteers. So you all should take a bow at this. One thing I just wanted to, you know, in terms of what I like best about, there's a couple things. One is, as Chuck was saying, the interconnectedness and the idea that we need to be more walkable or more bikeable, or somehow have a more quality environment where people can get around and not just be bound by cars. I think was one of the key things. And that thinking about mass transit was also a great part of this. And I'm looking forward to, as I think people, especially, I think Yolanda was hitting on this as well, as the challenge of the implementation after this. There's a lot of great things in this plan, and I think, you know, the next challenge is, you know, how do we make this real? So again, I just wanted to thank you all for all your efforts over the last few years. So anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Rob. And Leah?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I am the Precinct 2 rep for the Comprehensive Plan Committee. And one of the things I really liked about this whole process was that it gave us an opportunity to evaluate all of the ideas that people who live in town and work in town are always talking about. Ashland residents have no problem sharing their ideas on social media, and whether you're, at the corner spot or the farmer's market or, at Saturday morning soccer, people are always talking about, why doesn't Ashland do this? Why can't we do that? Why don't we have sidewalks here? Why is the Valentine Estate not finished yet? Things like that. And it really gave us a chance to talk to residents about those things. And then as a group, really evaluate these and talk to town leaders about it and figure out what makes sense, what should be a priority of ours, and actually put it into a document that will guide us for the next, 10 years or more. And I think that's just a really wonderful thing to be able to do.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room? Please.
Hi, Roberta Stolman, the Open Space and Recreation Committee representative to this group. I'm sorry I missed the presentation, but I was like Charlie on the MTA today with all kinds of delays and broken down trains, so I'm sorry that I missed it. I'm sure it was a wonderful thing. I want to thank a couple of people, and I just want to say a word about the experience. I want to thank the consultants, Jen and Austin, because I totally agree with Tony Lewis that it was more than well worth the funding to bring them into the group, and I don't think we really would have finished without them. I don't think we would have had the expertise we needed to move ourselves along, so thank you very much for your help. I also want to thank Kate Jerzyk and Anna Tesmanitsky for really sort of pushing this as a planning board priority, so that after a lot of years without a comprehensive plan, we finally do have one. And I think it's going to be a wonderful thing to guide the town and be really important. As a member of the committee, I just wanted to say it was 2 years of very hard work, but it also was enjoyable to work with some people that I would never have had the chance to work with before. So that was a real positive for me. And I want to thank Brandy for all the communications work she did, and Yolanda for all of the facilitating work that she did, for signing up to do the extra meetings at the end, which were really important. And from here on in, we still need the public's participation. The implementation and their continued feedback and ideas are going to be really important for us as we go forward and refine and figure out what's working and what isn't. So I think it's not the end, it's the beginning of a really exciting time, and I appreciate the chance to have been a part of it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Ivancho. I was the representative for the 3rd Precinct, and when I started this, I was pretty new in town. I was maybe 2 years, and now 2 years more, four years in town. It was a great way to learn a lot about the town, all the various committees, all the people, big committee. But I think for me, the most interesting thing was sitting down with all the subject matter experts that we got to talk to during the middle of the process when we were talking about all the various strategies and getting feedback on them. And one of the things I would hope that when we get into the implementation of this is that those people live here in town. Those are our experts, that we bring them in and that, they can be part of those successful strategies that we go forward with. So just making sure that, we have the expertise here in town to get this done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the room or online? That is optional.
Rajeshri Ghosh, 11 Edward Drive. I echo everybody's sentiments, especially members of the comprehensive plan. It was a large committee, and I just remember how we began with such a lot of contentious arguments and threats to resign and lots of drama. It could be a well-written novella, and someday that has to be documented and made into a film because it'll make a good one. But each and every member brought in so much talent and so much expertise that is reflected in the document that has been made. Each one of us deals with different constituents. We do meet people in the community, we build community, but it was through the expertise of our consultant that we got these tools, like a meeting in a box, which I never knew something like that existed because I've been in programs, I've been in research institutes. What we do is focus group discussions, but this is called MIAB, and we got to learn about it. So some of those tools are very useful, and we will take them forward. I know we will give you the thanks. You have the patent rights to it, Jen and Austin, but those are very useful key tools to engage with the public. Some of the strategy discussions or even the technical working sessions, we had expertise from within the community. And I think some of them don't get named often, but I hope that in some ways they are recognized and acknowledged because everybody's contributions came into what the document is. There are lots of photographs and there are no names of it. I can mention a few of them, but each one of them contributed to our engagement, the massive engagement that we had. We exceeded our limits, and I could never imagine that we would do that. So that's something I'm still dancing about and celebrating. So I'm looking forward to this plan moving forward, and the implementation committee or implementation coordination committee taking this forward to the best and following through to the best of their abilities. I know several factors come into the being, but then we're using this as a flexible living document, and I think that's the best part in how we are approaching this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership on this. Oh, sorry, Hasini.
Hi, Hasini Reddy. I'm the high school representative, and I just want to say that I really like how the committee allowed for members to participate in various and distinct ways. Like I was able to reach some residents and kids my age through social media. And also, I'm just really thankful that I got to see students participating in some of our public outreach tactics, like the surveys at Ashland Day and the Farmers Market. And essentially, I'm just excited that I got to be a change maker in the future of this town that I'm gonna grow up in and educate students my age about how their future is gonna look like 10 years. Thank you.
Great.
Tricia, could I just say something?
Yes, please.
Hasini designed our logo, the Envision Ashland logo, and was great with our social media. And so it was so good to have, and honestly, she was very vocal in our meetings, which isn't the easiest thing to do in a group of 28 adults. And Hasini, I just got to tell you, you're going to go far, my friend. She's a graduating senior this year, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm so glad that she was a part of this. And I'm so glad we got this done before you graduated. So.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Hasini.
Tricia, I think there was, are we missing anybody?
Mark
Carl, did you want
Dissoni
to?
looks like he has his hand up.
Okay. And I was going to say Carl in this room also was a member. I don't know if he wants to say something. All right.
All right, Mark Dissoni?
Thank you, Mark Dissoni, 119 Main Street. I've been watching this at home where I am, and I was debating, do I want to come on or let everybody else speak, or do I just want to sit down and just listen? here I am. I would like to thank everybody on the board that is the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. But I also want to give special compliments and gratitude to Miss Jan Goldsman. We got to know each other. And without her, I probably would have never stepped into the ring of the tech strategies and the steering committee meetings and stuff like that. I'll come up in between different boards to say what I thought of this comprehensive plan and what they're going to be doing for the town itself. Jen gave me that inner confidence to get up there, and we know each other. So I'm saying thank you to Jen. Now I'm going to go and thank another person that's in with the select board, who did the forums, Yolanda Greaves, who I did use the forums to get my ideas across and get opinions. And she got me half the time that most people wouldn't give me, and was listening and learning me to be a two-way street person to understand what each of the goals were. So I'm thanking her for letting me do that. And every time I did speak, I didn't have to give my name and address, which was a comfortable way of saying, yes, Mark, go ahead. To the board itself, as I sat in the steering committee meetings as a citizen's participation, I still was drawn, I fell back a little bit when at one meeting, they made a placard for me as a citizen participator with my name on it. And that showed me that I felt like they were comfortable with me being at home and understanding what everybody means. I'm not a member, but as a citizen that's been going to all these meetings and got a placard, it made me speechless for a couple of minutes, for a couple of seconds, until I got my breath and said, Mark, just keep going. And then, so I'm just thinking that and everything. And I'm looking at the man down with the wool hat on and the little beard and the glasses. He has taken all my notes and all my personalities when I was sitting right behind a wine meeting. And we got along real well. So all this, after 2.5 years, along with the committee, Jen, and and all the people that were involved, 2 years didn't seem it went that fast. It was very informative, understanding, and I felt as a citizen, I can speak for the town, but I'm hopeful that the town will understand what the work behind what they don't see will be good for the future of the people coming in. So I thank you for letting me speak, and I'm just going to stay on Zoom here just to listen. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
I wanted to briefly comment as a planning board member, as a committee member. The other day I took a walk in Ashland State Park and reflected with my mom about 1993 when we moved to Ashland the first time, and then I came back to Ashland later after leaving. But we reflected on how much Ashland looks a lot. Some things look just like they were when I moved here for my junior year of high school in 1993. Ashland State Park looks a lot the same, although it's harder to swim in it because of the water pollution, but looks very much the same. The town has certainly changed. We commented on those things, and I realized as I was walking around Ashland State Park that as a child, I certainly would have never imagined that I would find myself here at this meeting about to vote for this thing together with the select board, and how special that is to be able to move to a town and then see it grow and be part of its vision. So that's really thrilling for me, and I feel a lot of love for the town of Ashland tonight. So I want to say that. And I will also say I was quite moved by Hassini's comment at the last Comprehensive Plan Committee, where she shared that the work of this committee really inspired her to go into public service, and now she wants to study public service in college. And so I think that's a reflection of all of the incredible work that we did. People talk about the heating, the heat, if you will, that we had in our group early on. I think that was a part of our magic. All of that conflict fed the right kind of decision-making and the right kind of energy. And I take a lot of pride in the result. And I have a lot of gratitude to the select board and the planning board and to Michael for working together very diligently despite some of our challenges early on. And I think those challenges led to the consultant team that we have, to the hard work of this committee, and the temperament that we all brought to it together is going to make a massive difference in the community. And then the last thing I'll say that I'm specifically excited about in the plan is the concept of the Clocker Express, the idea of a transportation or a bus service, if you will, that's geared towards Ashland specifically to allow interconnection between all of the wonderful community spots that we have so that our high school kids can take a bus to the community center or to the new YMCA or whatever they want to go. And so that was something that I'm especially excited about that I wanted to share. Thank you.
All right, Scott?
Yeah, I wasn't on anything, so wasn't there for any of these meetings. I think all I did was fill out the survey that was anonymous, and I sent that in. So I'll be looking for that very specific note that I wrote. But I had I had a few questions, and I didn't want to steal the floor from anybody who was talking about how awesome it was, because you guys did so much work, like thousands and thousands of hours. It's just amazing, and I really hope that it can resonate to all of the people in town. I hope that they are able to consume this information. So some of my questions are kind of about some of that information. You mentioned that there was over 3,000 points of reference that were talked about in there, but you didn't collect emails or names and stuff like that, which I totally get. Does that mean if I did the survey and I went to one of the meetings, then I would have been 2 of those points of references? Okay, cool. Thank you. It was mentioned, I'm just going to kind of rapid fire through some questions. It was mentioned that there might have been some demographics that were maybe missing, right? Okay, I think you kind of said that. Does anybody feel like there was a demographic or 2 that was not, maybe not as representative? I know we had one Ashland High School student, but I didn't know, like, kind of looking around, we're all over 35 probably. So maybe, I don't know, don't want to say anybody's age, but how was the 18 to 35? Was there other groups that were maybe missing or underrepresented that we thought, like, I mean, I'm sure you hoped that everybody would have a chance, and there was obviously plenty of opportunity to do it, but did we miss anybody? Is there?
I don't know, we didn't get necessarily specific names and emails, but we did get some demographic information. And I think we did hit maybe not as much of the 18 to 35 as maybe the 35 to 60, but I think we got a good number of that. Right? Jen saying, yeah.
I think so too. I don't know, Austin, you don't have any of our data kind of at your fingertips at this moment, do you?
My fingertips are working.
Okay. Because I don't want to misspeak. I haven't looked back at the data in a little while.
What I can comment on is the meetings in the box, we really made a strong effort to bring it into the community. I remember we went to the assisted living or elder community on 126. We made a point of doing that, physically going there, which is so important because our elders can't always come to us.
Yep.
I think we also made a point to be aware of socioeconomic realities where not everyone has access to transportation or participation. I would say my impression of the public forums, you could kind of go into the community or the community can come to you. For those where the community came to us, I would say it was more middle, upper class, more socioeconomically comfortable versus going into the community where you can kind of choose to adopt to a wider economic spectrum. So, that's the challenge in any public participation. So as we implement, we're going to have to kind of remember not just to tell people to come to us, but actually go to the people.
I think one of the challenges we've had
Yeah, they won't hear you over that.
I think one of the challenges we've had is accessing renters. So we've made many attempts to reach the various apartment complexes and through the leasing offices, and that could not be possible. So I would do the back routes. I would approach tenants individually and have them sign up through WhatsApp groups, and that's how we would reach them. But if we were to do an entire tenant complex, it wasn't possible. Right. So that's a demographic we missed out on, and it needs to be taken into consideration going forward.
Thank you. This is kind of a, I don't, how does this message get to the public? I know we have to vote, and I know it's coming up at the Ashland meeting in a couple weeks, but it's a 47-page PDF. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when I read it the first time, like, thank you for showing how to read it today. That really helped, because I got lost, and, you know, kind of, there's a lot there, and there's also a lot in pictures, and there's a ton of pages. Is there like an easier or a trimmed down version of it, or is everybody in town gonna have access to the PDF? Like,
So the good news is Yolanda did a series of public forums that were geared towards specific sections of the plan, and those were public forums advertised, so the community kind of got to see every section separated out. So we did that. We made sure that that was really important to us prior to going to town meeting. In addition, I believe Beth, who's online, she can comment, but she included the link to the plan on, I believe, some town managers newsletter, et cetera.
And it's sitting on the website.
Exactly. So there is a lot of, prior to this meeting, there was public release of the document, so it's widely and readily available. I think Brandy and others had also done tables at Ashland Day and various public events where the public is, I think, quite aware of these efforts. So I would say those are some of the ways that we're spreading the word. The document is large. That's not unusual for comprehensive plans. Part of the importance of our work, Planning Board, Select Board, is to now create an implementation committee that would then, in theory, get feedback from the committee and start implementing all these points. And again, that would have a public process in theory.
If I could just jump in, I sort of had a similar reaction when I started. It's big, and as it would be expected to be so in that. And one thing I thought about was perhaps one way to approach it would be to, instead of just as a PDF or a 47-page document, would be to set it up on a web page with the different themes in that hyperlinked, right? So that a person could go in and kind of jump around, so they could understand specifically this piece that they were interested in at that given time. And then, Scott, were you done? Did you have more questions?
No, that was just kind of around it. I just want to make sure that people could, like, when you showed that Excel sheet that's going to be out there and like the different projects, to me, like, I would have just loved to have seen that, and like, and maybe not the whole PDF, because I understand your vision. I just want to see what the actions are. So that was my internal thought. But sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to just say that, thank you to everybody. My personal thanks. I was just a couple of data points in this as you were, Scott. And so I really appreciated all the work. And, you know, one of the things when I was reviewing it that struck me that not only is it a roadmap, but it's also like a snapshot of who we are today, which was very powerful to think about. And that sometimes before you can go forward, you really have to stop and think about, you know, who you are now and maybe who you've been. And that too takes a lot of courage, that and some of the struggles and challenges, and I know we heard some of the stories early on, and those are important, and especially I think in the world we live today, that we can come together and bring all those different ideas and thoughts and approaches to things together and work through it. I mean, how powerful that is. And it's an experience that, and we seem to be losing a little bit in our world. So I was just really, really am so proud of all the work that you've all done. And then, finally, I think in terms of one of the things that I really appreciated and love to think about in terms of this community is the diversity that exists here, and that how powerful that is, and that sometimes it's so easy to not value it and not to be excited about and see how rich it makes us all. And I actually have grandchildren in this community now who are sixth-generation Ashlanders. And now when I hear them talk about their friends at school, and, they're very different than, I didn't grow up here, but my husband did. And so that's how they get to be sixth generation, not from me. And so it's a very different world than what he talks about when he go through town with him. You're like, yeah, I know it was a cow farm. And so,
Don't make fun of me.
but it's just, I really value when I hear them talk about who their friends are and the experiences that they're getting about the world from living in this community. So again, I just really want to say thank you to everyone for your work, and I'm interested in thinking about how we can do a better job and continue to do a great job of reaching the broader community as much as we can. So thank you all.
All right, thanks, everyone.
I just have one quick comment, if you don't mind,
yeah,
Madam Chair.
please.
Being a lifelong resident here, I've definitely seen changes over the last 70 years, and a lot of them have been good. Some I would like to see have stayed the same, but that's progress, and that's what we have to be concerned about. But a steady and great growth progress, that's something that's going to hinder us over the years, and I see that happening. I want to thank you all for all the hard work that you've all done. I wasn't on the committee, I was on the Charter Review Committee. That was a 5-year process, and so I can appreciate what you all have gone through. My concern right now is the implementation of this project so that it becomes a functional, living program. And that's something that collects dust on the shelf. Because in years past, that's what some of these projects have ended up becoming. So we're all happy about this, and we're all ready to go, but I think the work ahead of you right now is, one, the implementation and keeping it in the forefront of all the things that we need to do, and use it as a guideline and not forget about it. That, to me, is going to be the big challenge, is not forgetting about what this project is all about and how we can use it day to day to keep us on the path that we want to see Ashland growing. So, but I just want to thank everybody for the effort. I know, where's Roberta? She was that chair for the 5-year charter review plan, and I'm sure she, lost a lot of sleep over that over the 5 years. So thank you all who participated and worked your butts off to get this done. And it's a collective group. You represented the town well, and I'm very happy that I've read it twice. Scott, I have to agree with you. It was a little confusing at times and trying to pick out things that I wanted to see, but they were there. But I had to look for them. But if we had like an outline or whatever, and like maybe an index to some of the things, maybe that would have been a nice thing to look for, as to make it a little bit easier in reading. But be it as it may, first time around, it's not going to be perfect the first time. So, that's why they have readings, first, second, and third readings in bills, so that way you can tweak it every time. So.
We'll do a midnight reading of the comprehensive plan anytime.
Well, yeah, I don't sleep well, so that helps.
I got you. Call me.
But thank you all. Appreciate all your efforts.
Thanks, Joe. And I think the implementation part, as this process started with the planning board and the select board, the implementation part goes right back to the planning board and the select board. So it's really up to us to make sure that this implementation committee gets formed, and that it is consistent, and that we are really working collaboratively with that group, both our boards, like you said, to make this really a living document. So I'd also like to thank Jen Goldstein and her team. Goldson, sorry, it's getting late. Is there any other, was anyone else waiting to the last minute to speak? 'Cause otherwise, I think we're wrapping up at this time. So Yolanda, we need a vote
We need a
of
motion.
joint.
So if you'd like, I can make the motion. I move that we support the, oh, hold on, Austin had a comment. Oh.
Okay, Austin?
Thank you. I am glad that I caught you right now. There's one small wording change that has not yet been reflected in the comprehensive plan. It's to the dedication letter at the beginning. And the reason that it's not reflected in the draft that was sent out is because we got it after I sent it to you. So it's very recent, within the past week. But it's the addition of 2 sentences, and I can read them out right now for the record.
That'd be great.
So after the 3rd paragraph of the dedication letter, a new paragraph of 2 sentences will be added. One of Ashland's greatest challenges is balancing how to retain its small town feel while dealing with unavoidable, and as many residents that participated in the process strongly stated, unwanted development. The committee had thoughtful, deep, and difficult discussions on the issue and recommended strategies that will help create an equitable balance. So that's the addition. I just wanted to make sure that was stated so you can include that before you vote.
And I also just wanted to note, because I think I sent this into, and
I don't know, but you had sent it to me, but I had sent it to Austin before. Regarding the 2 vacant slots, the word vacant twice under planning board, Austin? Did those get removed?
well, and it's depending on, this is just the listing of planning board members at the beginning. And there were 2 vacant slots, and I didn't know, as Scott was on there, but Paul Montesino is our new member. He will be voting on this evening. So I assume his name is as entered so that we have a 5-person active planning board on that list. And then the other vacant slot can be taken off because we do not have an associate member at this time.
Right.
So does that, I assume that's more logistics than.
Yeah, I think we can vote the plan and then make sure
Yeah.
those finalization.
Right.
My only uncertainty, and I commented on this over email, was whether it's supposed to reflect the planning board at the time of the comprehensive plan work or the planning board as it votes. That was not clear to me.
My understanding was because there was a couple of people who were on it when the plan started.
Yep, and then others.
Now there are other people on.
Yep.
I think to Tricia's point, whoever
That's
is
fine.
voting on it should be there
Yeah.
as well, but also people who were there before who have now stepped off.
That's
like
what I mean.
Kate,
I think we should
should
include
be-
Kate on it.
Kate should be listed as a
Yeah,
former, and I believe
exactly.
she
She
is
is,
a
she
former
is,
planning
yep.
board member. Amanda Hayes as an associate member when it
She's- yep,
started. So,
Makes sense.
And
So
Marcella.
essentially, we're
Marcella's
including
listed,
everyone
yep.
who was
whoever
and
was,
everyone who
yeah.
is.
Yes, is on the
I
list
think
of
that's
planning
fine.
board,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
Okay.
I move that.
Sorry, is it possible to have what you just added put up on the screen? Because does it really say unwanted development on there?
Yes,
Yes.
that's actually what it says, because that's how we discussed it. Because we got a lot of public comment not wanting development in Ashland.
Yeah, I'd just like to see the whole thing.
And part of the discussion at the Comprehensive Plan Committee was to make that very blatantly direct, that we considered it, and we found balance, or attempted balance.
Is that something you can bring up, Austin?
It's 2 sentences added to the opening letter. It does not change any of the strategies or any of the goals or.
Well, but I don't know, there does seem to be a lot of small town feel in there, which does kind of emphasize that there's not a lot of development in there. So like, I just wanted to make sure I
There we go.
understood what it
It's
said.
up on the screen
that's
now.
all. Those are the 2 extra sentences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the whole thing, okay.
Hence the unavoidable earlier.
I think the problem with the word unwanted development is that it doesn't, explain why something's not wanted, right? I think that it's sort of it's kind of harsh.
Vague, but at the same time, not really anything specific.
Is there?
I mean, I'll be direct. We had public meetings where people said, no more. So I think it's pretty clear. And we got
Right.
that a lot.
Right, I
as a committee.
understand, but obviously there are a variety of opinions and.
Which is why
so-
we had a committee balance it out. We definitely
But
talked
this,
as a
but
committee.
this wasn't discussed in the last meeting I was at.
Yeah, I mean,
you
this
know,
is the first
so-
I'm seeing
Yeah,
this final
so-
two sentences.
so it wasn't in front of the committee.
It was not discussed, but but this was, I mean, a lot of the discussion, and not just amongst the committee, to Anna's point, when you went out into the community, and even now, right, as we're dealing with some of these projects that are coming before us, it's not wanted, and it's not that it's, it's not a not in my backyard, it's that the fear of that, it is changing the small town feel of the community.
I wonder if it can just be softened a bit by putting, and just to satisfy both parties, is before unwanted to say sometimes or often.
How about concerns about development?
Yes. Concerns about uncontrolled or?
So I want to be clear that the entire plan is quite vigorous in its balance between development, open space, community connection. And I do remember the conversation at the Comprehensive Plan Committee about this concept as recognizing one of the biggest challenges we had that we kept arguing about for 2 years consistently. I, for one, think these sentences really capture the most difficult issue that we had to confront for 2 years, and softening it is going to soften all of those difficult conversations to something that never happened. And it did. This is exactly what happened. This is what we had to confront.
So, Austin, when did you get these sentences? And I'm surprised we didn't get anything, like I'm looking for my email to see.
Because this wasn't what we voted on.
This is, right, that's the other thing, is we didn't vote these.
Yes, yeah.
So I think Michael told you to write it, right?
Yeah, I believe I recall the committee discussing, Roberta had volunteered to do some
we didn't
wordsmithing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Yolanda suggested some of the language to work with Michael on a revision to this. I believe that conversation was held before the vote that the committee took on
Okay, then
the
it wasn't
plan
me who
itself.
suggested it, because I wasn't there before the vote.
So I just want to explain what happened. We had many conversations about this balance and the need to balance small town feel. And we heard it many times in the survey, in the meetings in a box, in the public forums and everything. And when we were talking at our last meeting, I brought it up again because we had talked about it in September. I think the meeting you were at, Tricia, it had come up then and we had a big discussion about it. And I just said that I felt like we would be doing a disservice to the public and the public input when they felt so strongly about this for us to just not even mention it, and that we had to at least put it out there that we heard them, that we understood their concern, and that we did our best to balance it. So it was Michael's letter, the dedication letter, and at the last meeting, he asked me if I would be willing to give a go at writing something that would capture what I had said at the meeting. And I said that I would, and I wrote something, and I sent it to him, and I sent it to Jen, and I think I sent it to Austin. And the part that says the words "that participated in the process" were added by Michael. He edited that, and he added that piece, and he was fine with it for his letter. And we were not meeting again, and so I couldn't circulate. It would be a violation of open meeting law for me to be sending something like that out. And we weren't meeting again. We had our final meeting. So it seemed like the committee gave Michael permission to give me permission to draft something and send it to him, and he okayed it, made a couple of edits, and that's why it is not in the version that you guys have seen, because it happened after the fact.
And I think, thank you for drafting it. I remember the conversation we had. I think the issue that we're all feeling, or I'm sure, let me put it this way, what I'm feeling is the unwanted development is a little, I think it's, you know, I'm fine with the rest of that sentence. And if we can just soften unwanted development to say concerns around development.
Or unplanned development, maybe?
I would just say concerns, because we say, while dealing with unavoidable and as many residents that participated in the process strongly stated concerns about development. People are concerned.
Would that become too generic if you put that way? Because we are very specifically indirectly addressing or attempting to address one particular development in the community, right? So I don't know if, say, concerns of development, it becomes like overall.
I genuinely think people came in and there were lots of people saying they don't want it. And what we as a committee did is we recognized and we discussed it, and we basically discussed that some development is unavoidable. We wanted to plan better for it. We wanted to create livable communities and if development happens, we wanted to work better. And that second sentence tells that story. That first sentence and the words unwanted don't somehow get rid of all of our balancing, all of our equitable work. It's just a recognition that for whatever reason, the people of Ashland gave us a lot of that feedback. And we can't just ignore it. We listened, we heard it, and we attempted to create a community where development happens in a thoughtful, livable way.
What if we just remove the word unwanted? Right? In that sentence. Because if you take away, because if you think about it, small town feel while dealing with unavoidable, if you take out, and as many residents are, if you take out that middle section, unavoidable development, right? The second part of that sentence is, it has a term, it's been a while since I've done my, right? But just take out, if you keep, to just take out the word unwanted, it still talks to the word development and brings in that information.
And conveys the message.
And I think it's still, I guess the thing, it's sort of good we're hearing this conversation now. Now, at town meeting, will people pick up on that word, on that in that letter, on that sentence? I don't know. But if we have some members of the board that are sitting here who were not part of the full comprehensive plan process are feeling a little prickly about that, then it might be something to.
I can't see the screen and who's here right now, but Michael Herbert was letting me know that he should probably say a word about this. So he's out there somewhere in cyberspace. I don't know, Michael. There you are.
He is.
Okay. Good thing we have various forms of technology. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks, Tricia. And we thought we were going to get through this one without me coming in, but no, just I was watching from afar and actually was just typing a note to the committee. But given the subject of the discussion, I figured I should probably chime in. I think there's two key points that led to me feeling comfortable having this in here. And the first one is that I do feel is extremely accurate that the people that we heard from through this process did say, that they did not want development. Now, I think there's various reasons for that. I'm not sure everybody, knows exactly, kind of some of the technical aspects of what goes into that, et cetera, but this is how they feel. And I think that is accurate. Second, and the reason I felt comfortable putting this in here is I do believe that we discussed this at the last meeting. including specifically that word unwanted. I remember feeling a little prickly about it. Maybe everybody did not hear the same thing that I did. That's certainly possible in a large group of 29. I also was on Zoom. But I do feel like that was stated, and if there was not an official vote, there was some significant head nodding, which then led to me asking if Roberta would go ahead and craft it. And Roberta gave a pretty accurate summary of, basically the sequence of those events. So I just thought it was important to kind of add kind of why I felt it was comfortable in including it in this letter.
And I'll say Michael and I agree rarely, and I 100% agree with him, which is an important way to maybe end my last comment for the night before we vote.
I'm just asking for the people who think this is important to be in there. What was the feeling of it before those two sentences, and why was it so important? The end point of the whole document is the vision, right? What's the importance? Did you just want to make sure you acknowledge that
Yes.
people felt that way?
Yes.
Because nowhere else are there other points in there that you acknowledge the way people felt about different things?
So it was such a repeated theme in our conversations. Like if you had to sort of pick a theme for 2 years that we kept coming back to over and over again, this was one of them in my mind. So, and I think that was the feeling Roberta had expressed at the meeting. Whether you agree with the policy or the politics of it, the great majority of the Ashland community who participated in our meetings kept coming back to this in different ways. So our comprehensive plan is a way to allow our community to grow for our diversity, for our economics, while recognizing those concerns and finding balance. And that's really what we're trying to say in these two sentences. It's a way to say, hey, we heard you. We heard this theme, and we did our freaking best. So I don't look at that sentence as some sort of policy decision. We're not saying no more development. What we're doing is we're creating a livable document for the future where we're hearing this concern, and yet here we are developing and growing, and how are we going to do that in a livable way? So I think the prickly sense of this sentence is really all mitigated and addressed fully by a 2-year process and by the rest of this document. I personally think the sentence is exactly what we need to do so that the public feels heard. I mean, if there's real discomfort with it,
But is it one piece of development that most people were complaining about? Was it all development that people were complaining about? Like, if I was an outsider reading this and I saw that, I would say the town of Ashland doesn't want me developing in this town, right? And that's not, I don't think that's the message you want to get out there. And I don't know if that's the feeling that the town of Ashland feels.
I'm not sure.
That's why I'm wondering is this like one project that everybody really dislikes? Or is it two projects that everybody really dislikes? Or is it a classification of
So
40Bs that the whole town doesn't like?
So I think the way it reads is exactly how it was heard, which is we're growing too fast, there's too much development, period. No more development.
I think that's what maybe what Scott is saying, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but that if we got more specific about it, there's probably a lot of those same people were okay with the school, which is development.
Which is
and
why
we're okay with the public safety building, which is development. Okay with the YMCA, which is development. And so it does kind of put a very, very heavy blanket statement, which is why I'm wondering if just a one-word softening such as often, like often unwanted, leaves a little glimmer in there that, hey, there's some things that a lot of people who would vote down every 40B but would still want the YMCA, to allow that little bit of flexibility in there.
How about often unwelcome?
That could be too. I think it's softening it further, which may not be.
I think the word often is sufficient to soften without changing unwanted. I will tell you, if you read the entire document, which is 47 pages, I don't think there's going to be a developer out there who's going to read that one sentence and say, oh, Ashland doesn't want my money. I really don't think so. I think the entire 47 pages is full of thoughtful, livable development that is
I'm just worried they won't
strategic
get
and
past page
thoughtful.
one. This is the opening
In
page,
light of
right?
how aggressively we're developing, I don't think you have to worry about that.
Could I just intervene with a quick question with respect to, this is a dedication statement, which has nothing to do with the actions of the plan itself. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yes.
So the concerns that you all received from the residents themselves, which is what you were saying, Anna, is that these are the sentiments you heard from the residents of Ashland. Not necessarily mean it's every resident from Ashland, but the residents who took the time to participate in the conversations that you all had. Those are the feelings that you had. How does that affect the implementation of this plan going forward? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does either. I think the whole plan has strategies that the implementation committee is going to work with. I'm confident in the implementation process, the same themes will arise because that's what our community is experiencing. This sentence is simply a way to recognize that this is a tension point in our community that seemed to be coming up in not every, but the majority of the
The
meetings.
majority, and right now, unfortunately, because of the environment that we're in currently, this is in the forefront.
But to be clear, the comprehensive plan does not say no development. The comprehensive plan does not change zoning to stop development. The comprehensive plan, in my opinion, creates livable, strategic, thoughtful growth and development in parts of our community while preserving open space and a community feel to the best of our ability as a committee, which is exactly what those two sentences say.
I think Michael is off, his hand is off the screen, so I can never see him. But I do, so I'll let him speak in a minute, but I do want to make sure that we can, I would like to know if there is no, it sounds like, Anna, to you, there is no compromise, there is no.
The word often is fine with me. If there's strong feeling in the room that we need to soften it, I think often is as soft as we need to go. I still don't think it's necessary at all, and I don't think developers are going to be like, oh, good, often is there.
Michael?
I really think we're overthinking this.
Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to, I think, revise my letter to reflect often unwanted. I think I understand everybody's points. Like I said, I do think what is originally stated in there does capture what we did hear from people who did participate, but it is strong. And I think often is a nice way to soften it without necessarily losing the color associated with it.
Roberta, is that
Often's okay.
acceptable?
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Okay, if anyone else out there on the comprehensive plan that want to put in their 2 cents?
I just have one question. So, I'm looking at the full, so are you shortening the letter, or is it being adjusted how it fits on the page, or you're just adding these, or, because it's a pretty long letter to begin with, right?
It's one of mine, Yolanda, of course. No.
I'm just wondering how it fits on the page, that's all.
That page, I'll say on the comprehensive plan, has a big image, and I can just slide the image over a little bit to make room. So whatever the final draft is will fit with the design.
Chuck has come to the podium in the room.
I just wanted to say that, I'm not of the view that we should stop development. I think it's absolutely nuts, the greater, but that's what we heard. We heard small town feel all the time, and to in your future decisions, you can say, well, that's not realistic. That's what I would do if I were in your shoes. But that is what we heard, so if you're going to, if you want to decide that this is not part of the comprehensive plan that you want to implement, and I wouldn't if I were in your shoes, but that's what we heard, and there's a strong feeling out there that there's too much change.
If maybe instead of often, sometimes unwanted, I mean, would that be better?
That's too soft.
Typically
Because-
unwanted?
I think often is good enough. Can we just land on often?
Sorry, I just had one more comment. I mean, I'm not a developer, but I sometimes work with them in my day job, and I feel they would want transparency in this case, where they would want to know what the actual vibes were in this town, because if they don't have the stomach for it, then they shouldn't start a project here. And, you know, and I think if we try to misrepresent ourselves and what our actual attitudes are, that's probably going to cause more problems than it solves. I mean, I agree with Chuck. I think we should probably keep developing, but that wasn't the sentiment that we heard. So anyways, that's just.
Right, but I'm just trying to get the clarity on this. Like, I don't think, am I guessing, and I don't know, I wasn't at all these meetings, and I'm asking you, like, when they come in and say small town feel and no development, they didn't mean the YMCA. Am I correct? They want the YMCA.
Well,
I would
can we
say
wait
it's-
until the
it's
YMCA is
large-
built?
No, I
It's
understand that,
large
like,
housing developments, right?
Right, so there's a
There's
specific thing they don't
specific
want.
types of development,
So
right?
But that's what's happening, though, up to now. The YMCA is not here yet, so.
Well, yeah, but
so
neither is the
this
40Bs yet. They're
but this-
coming, but they're not here
But
yet.
they're definitely here. The state
and
approved them.
And there's gonna be
So-
more, single home development, but no one is complaining about those.
So-
right? I mean, it's definitely specific
I don't think
development.
I don't think we're confused as to what that word means. I really don't. I don't think
Yeah,
the
but
public
unfortunately,
in reading that
it's a
sentence is confused. It's a reflection of the current development of Ashland. Right now, we know exactly what the town of Ashland public, when they talk about what concerns them about development and growth here, we know what it means. I know what it means. It means all of those apartment buildings
All
coming
right,
in.
let's.
I don't think we need to define
Let's
it.
work on a solution then, though, instead of, what about the word largely unwanted? Does that even closer to the point?
I think if you're just trying to say it's unplanned, right? This 40Bs that we are talking about are unplanned development.
That's not what they were saying.
YMCA is going to be a planned development. So I don't know if that unwanted feels really weird. If I, just like Scott, if I'm coming new to the town and reading this, it would just put a lot of questions in my head, is like, what is this town trying to tell me? I don't know the history of the community. I don't know the history of the survey. What does that unwanted development really mean? It can mean so many things to so many different people.
But if you read the comprehensive plan, it gives you a really good sense of what Ashland is, our history,
You
our
just said that the
growth.
first page is not going to get somebody, developer, from stopping to look at the comprehensive plan. So I don't know if that is true. It is an opening letter. You want to acknowledge the community's feeling in that letter is what we're trying to do. If that's what it is, I don't know if that is the agenda of that letter, or is it a cover letter for your comprehensive plan?
I mean, Michael can speak to the letter, since it's his letter.
Yeah, I mean, it is drafted by me. I try to speak on behalf of the Comprehensive Plan Committee. I didn't think it should be just like my thoughts reflected there. I do just want to cast a little bit of perspective on this, and while yes, it could be maybe the first thing that you read, it might also be the first thing you skip over. And I think if you do look throughout the plan, you will see that regardless of what residents want, because of some of the mandates that we're facing from the state, and I'm not talking politics here, I'm just talking about what the reality is that we have zoning in place that allows for multifamily development. And that's called the MBTA zoning. And also some of our other zoning allows for that. So using my experience in education, I've been doing this for a while now, and I can tell you that developers, the first thing that they go to usually is the zoning code to see whether or not a, um, a development would be, welcomed or even allowed. Now, if they, look at our zoning code and then read the letter, are they going to see some level of inconsistency? Maybe, and they will probably explore that a little bit. But I don't think it's going to have an unnecessarily chilling effect on potential development.
All right, I think I understand Scott's concern, and I also think sometimes, and I know, and I understand where the statement definitely is coming from. I think the statement isn't quite as nuanced as I would like, but I'm sure the people coming into the meetings were not very nuanced either in some cases. And for my part, and obviously I am just one vote of 10, but I am going to go with the work of the 29 people that sat on the committee for 2 years and listened to the people that came in. And if that has some cooling effect, then it does. But I agree that the rest of the document, which I have also read in its entirety, does lay out many pathways for planned, thoughtful development. So.
Great.
I would like
change.
to see the word often put in there in front of the unwanted. I think just to soften it a little bit. Yes, we heard from a lot of the community, we don't want this, but it's also, I think in reality, we have to
I
make
think
it.
we're all for often.
Okay, I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
I thought we were clear like 6 minutes
Okay.
ago.
I just.
Often it is in. Roberta liked it, Michael liked it.
Is Roberta still there? Oh, she moved seats. Okay,
Then,
sorry. Okay.
I move that we support the Envision Ashland plan with the additional 2 sentences. Unfortunately added very late in the discussion. I wish they had been done first in the discussion, but I move that we approve the Envision Ashland plan and bring it forward to town meeting.
I'll second that.
And that's with the word often.
Yep.
Okay. And I guess I'll take a roll call vote of the planning board first.
Deepa Venkatai.
Anna Tesmanitsky, aye.
Scott Pelletier, aye.
Paul Montesino, aye.
And Tricia Kendall, aye.
Select Board.
Reeves, aye.
Kinsman, aye.
Keegan, aye.
Mignani,
aye.
aye. Bennett, aye. Thank you.
Thank you all.
That's 5-0.
All right.
Could I just say, since I did get on here, could I just say one last thing?
Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know it's late. I'm going to repeat a lot of what was said, but I am so proud of this group and what we did, what the resilience that we showed, the thoughtfulness. Anna and I fought and made up probably 50 times throughout the course of this process. I did not think I would feel as good as I do about this plan. I mean, there was tension all the way up until the vote was taken at the steering committee meeting. And when it happened, everybody had the same feeling, which is like, wow, we did it. And we did. It was not easy. This was hard work. This was really, really hard work. And everybody played a significant role in getting this over the goal line. And I do want to highlight our chairs and also our consultants. Jen and Austin, I think you two were amazing. I agree with everybody. Everybody that was said, you were well worth everything. And Austin, I really have to speak to you and just you you kind of got put in like right in the middle. And, you know, Jen, kudos to you for having the faith and trust in him for doing this, because Austin, you did a remarkable job. You really did. If we had more time, I'd love to ask you just to reflect on what you learned from the experience, but it is getting late. And then I am happy for everybody, but Kate and Anna, I applaud you and appreciate you bringing this forward. Yolanda, I'm really happy for you. I know there was a sense of unfinished business before, and I have a sense, I can't see you right now, but like I said, I feel really happy for you. So yeah, congratulations, everybody. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. And I guess on that note, we've already taken a vote. We are going to town meeting. Do you want to release your board?
Motion to adjourn? Second. Aye.
Let's do the same thing. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks, everybody.